So watch this car right here. It's a very common place to slide out. They come around this corner, lose control, and boom, straight into the pole. Now we actually have another angle because that pole happens to be where a traffic camera is. The camera operator is able to pan the camera over and see this vehicle at a better angle. This angle is going to be very useful in a little bit, but I want to illustrate just how dangerous it is to actually be out here. So while this vehicle is sitting here and the police are out there talking to the driver and passenger of the vehicle, pay attention to this car here, which comes around the same corner, loses control, and boom. Now remember, we have that other angle where the camera's already looking at that car. Take a look at just how close this officer came to being crushed. He walks away from the vehicle and the car flies inches, just inches, past this already crashed car. In the snow and the flurries, it's going to be hard to see the corner of the vehicle, so I'll mark it with a red arrow. Pay attention to just how close that secondary vehicle came to hitting this first car. Now, these people, their natural reaction is going to be to get out and check out the situation, but that cop's going to tell them, get back in your vehicle, stay in your vehicle. This is the safest place for you to be right now because you have a barrier from any other vehicles sliding out. If you're outside just standing around, you have no protection at all from anybody else that might be possibly hitting you. If this secondary vehicle would have been just a couple inches over and that cop would have taken a few more seconds to interact with those people, more than likely this car would have ended up hitting that cop as well. So very, very dangerous to be out here. Now, just up the bridge a little bit, there's going to be a totally unrelated accident. Twin City Towing is going to be in the area to clean up both of these. And because the situation allows, with the location, the type of damage, and the type of vehicles, 2 flatbed tow trucks are able to clean up all 4 vehicles. They're going to tow these 2 vehicles down to the second crash scene, and they're going to reposition in such a way where they can actually load up all 4 vehicles on 2 trucks. So I'm not entirely sure if anybody actually got loaded into the ambulance or not. It's possible, but in Minneapolis, they actually contract through North Memorial and other hospitals for their ambulance services. In St. Paul, they do it the complete opposite, where the ambulances are actually part of the fire department. So that's why the fire department shows up on a lot more medical stuff in St. Paul than they might in Minneapolis. The fire trucks clear the scene pretty quick. There's not really much else going on. And remember that secondary crash scene, there's already a trooper blocking this whole lane up the bridge farther. Now this trooper is going to be writing up the report, collecting all the information, giving people copies of the case number and all the other drivers' information. People usually have a lot of questions. People usually want to know where their car's going, how much the tow is going to be, all that type of stuff. A lot of times when they get towed from an accident scene, they go straight to the impound yard, and there's often a set rate for how much that's going to be, along with the daily rate, depending on what yard it actually gets towed to. Looks like the whole front end of that Jeep's pretty smashed in. Hopefully it's just cosmetic damage. Hopefully there's nothing actually seriously broken. But it may... hard to tell, but those tires might be opposite directions. Might have broke a tie rod or something. You can see where I am up here. I'm up closer to downtown, up on this edge here. And don't worry, I'm not actually over the fence. I'm just sticking the camera over the fence. So there's no risk of me actually falling, and I'm not doing anything extra dangerous to get you guys this footage. When it's this snowy, you can actually just drag up cars right on the bed. Oh no, those tires look good. A lot of times to clean up a crash scene, especially in the blizzard or the snow, You can just drag it straight up. You don't have to worry about putting it in neutral or anything. It's not going to hurt anything for the vehicle to slide on a layer of ice. So the Jeep is going to be all-wheel drive, so that's going to go on the bed. This other little car is going to be front-wheel drive. Now, a lot of these recovery trucks that are meant for highway use have what's called side pullers, where they either have a separate winch or they have a system of pulleys that allows them to pull from the side, and this lets them actually get recovery angles without actually having to be sticking out in traffic in order to face the bed back. So they're going to hook underneath the vehicle here. Now, you can't just hook anywhere, you can't grab anything. There are certain spots and certain locations where it's actually designed to be pulled on and designed to be strapped down. This is where the experience really comes into play. You have to know what you can pull on and what you can't, otherwise you will absolutely destroy the corner of the vehicle. So they're going to hook on to a good location down there and end up flipping it around. And this isn't going to be the entire pull. They're going to actually have to reposition to get another secondary pull to get that nose a little bit farther out into the lane. Because remember, this vehicle is going on the wheel lift, which is the other part of a flatbed, which allows them to lift up 2 tires of a vehicle and roll it, so they need it to be sticking out a little bit farther in order to get it in a position where they're able to load it up. It's very common for drivers of crashed vehicles and even passengers to try to interfere with what's going on. Let the tow truck operator do his job, let the cop do his job, let the fire department do their job. Stay out of the way as much as you possibly can. It's just better for everybody else. So this trooper ends up calling this guy away.
Hey, my man, come here. Let him work. I know, just come hang out over here. Come here. Wait till they're done.
From the side here, we get a much better view of just how much impact damage there was, how high up that crease in the hood is. And this is a good example of modern engineering, creating crumple zones and creating things that are supposed to crush in, so they take the brunt of the impact and you don't. Back when cars were first designed, before safety was really a thing, cars were built to be as tough and as sturdy and as strong as possible, so all of that impact would transfer straight into the driver and passengers. The car would not absorb any of it, and that's why the fatality rates were so much higher. They didn't have seatbelts, they didn't have crumple zones, they didn't have airbags, they didn't really have any sort of safety features at all. You just got in and went. So here's the secondary pull. They're going to be pulling it farther out into the lane. These flatbed tow trucks, they're normally rear-wheel drive, so they can't really be going off-roading too much and picking up too much stuff. They really need to get vehicles as close as they can back to on the road before they load them up. I've gotten stuck more than my fair share of times in a flatbed tow truck. There are different methods you can use to get yourself unstuck, so it is possible to get unstuck, but it still sucks. Another trooper's going to pull up on scene here. Now, this is a much newer, nicer, shinier car. They generally give supervisors and people higher up the newer cars, so this is probably a superior of some sort. Who knows what they're saying? I can only guess. This might even be the trooper that was up on the bridge earlier, blocking that lane. Now this is the wheel lift that's on the back. It's a hydraulic ram. There's many different styles. These are the manual L-arm style, and I can tell you from loading thousands and thousands of cars on these, they suck to use in the snow because you have to get those L-arms straight. It's a square tube, and you have to get them straight in there, so you often have to dig through snowbanks and chip away ice and get around all sorts of stuff to get that L-arm in there. A lot of the rookies, they end up actually forgetting to lock in the pins, so I've seen it on more than one occasion where they forget to lock in the pins. They're going, and then the L-arm actually falls out, and it's a very bad day when that car falls off the wheel lift. So always got to make sure your pins are locked in and seated all the way, and snow or ice or dirt in there can make them seem like they're seated, but they're not. So you got to tug on them, kick on them a little bit, and make sure they're locked in. Once the L-arms are in, pins are locked, you can lift up the vehicle, put some straps on it, throw some safety chains underneath, and then these vehicles are more than likely going to the impound lot where they can be dealt with in whatever manner later. Sometimes the owners retrieve them, other times the insurance companies take them, and around here a lot of them end up going to IAA where they get auctioned off after they get totaled.